This is the Lenovo Legion 5 gaming laptop. Specifically, the model that we have here is from what Lenovo terms the 15-inch Gen 7 series with model number 15ARH7H. It's powered by AMD's performance-oriented Ryzen 7 6800H processor and sports Nvidia's GeForce RTX 3060 mobile GPU. We'll unbox this laptop, explore its specs a little more in-depth before rounding off with some benchmark tests. Let's get started. First things first, the packaging. As you can see, the laptop comes in a brown cardboard box with no fancy gamer graphics of any sort. Looking at the label right here, we see a summary of the specs for this laptop, which I'll cover in depth later in this video. This laptop, unsurprisingly, is made in China and ships with Windows 11 Home. On a side note, if you're new to the ALK Tech channel, do consider subscribing so as to keep up to date with the latest PC tech releases on the market. With that, let's get started on the contents of the box. Now we'll take a closer look at the laptop in a bit, but first up, the accessories. We get a quick start guide right here, and this is accompanied by a safety information leaflet. Moving on, we get a power cord right here, and this is rounded off by an accompanying 230 watt AC power adapter. With that, onto the laptop itself. With the laptop out of the packaging, some first impressions, it's really hefty, weighing in at around 2.4 kilograms, and it also has a lid that is made out of aluminium, while the rest of the laptop is made out of plastic. Delving deeper into the aesthetics and construction of the laptop, this particular Legion 5 that I have here comes in a color that Lenovo terms Storm Grey, with most of the laptop being a lightish grey in color. For contrast, the bezel of the laptop's LCD screen, as well as the base of the laptop, is finished in black for added visual contrast. Now the bezel of the screen is pretty thin, I would say, and has a thicker bottom bezel, which is pretty common for laptops in the 15.6-inch size range. The lid's hinge action feels pretty sturdy too, like so. And with the lip that you see here on the long edge of the lid, lifting the lid with just one finger is easily done. On the whole, I find that the laptop feels pretty sturdily built despite its predominantly plastic construction. The base of the laptop is in black plastic, and to gain access to the motherboard, you'll need to remove the 10 Phillips screws and thereafter use a plastic pry tool to pop off the lid. In terms of connectivity, the Legion 5 comes with a Gigabit Ethernet port, a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port that supports data transfer, 135 watts power delivery, and display output of up to 8K resolution at 60Hz. We also do get a HDMI port that supports display output of up to 8K resolution at 60Hz, a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-A port, and always-on USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-A port, as well as the power adapter port. On the left side of the laptop, we get two USB Type-C ports. While Lenovo advertises both ports to be compliant to the USB 3.2 Gen 2 spec and supports data transfer and DisplayPort 1.4 compliant video output, at least for this particular model of Legion 5, the AT2RD006DSB, this port right here actually supports the latest USB 4 40Gbps standard if the laptop is on the latest BIOS revision. So if you are intending to get this laptop, it might be a good idea to download and install the latest BIOS from Lenovo's website. How to tell if you've got USB 4 enabled? Simply head over to Device Manager in Windows like so, and under this section here, Universal Serial Bus Controllers, you should see something like this, which indicates that you've got USB 4 all ready to go. Moving over to the right side of the laptop, we get a 3.5mm headphone and microphone combo jack, a physical switch that is used to enable or disable the onboard webcam for added security, an indicator LED, as well as a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port. With that, here's a walkthrough of the specs of this particular Legion 5 15 ARH7H that I have, the 82RD006DSB. What a mouthful. Name aside, as mentioned earlier, this laptop is powered by AMD's Ryzen 7 6800H mobile processor, which is an 8-core part with 16 threads in total, and it has a base clock of 3.2 GHz with a max boost clock of 4.7 GHz. RAM-wise, the laptop comes with a healthy 16GB of Samsung DDR5 4800 RAMs, that is, two 8GB sticks running in quad-channel configuration, which is great considering that manufacturers can choose to skimp on costs and install only a single stick of RAM, which would impair performance. In terms of graphics, the laptop comes with NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 3060 mobile GPU, which comes equipped with 6GB of Samsung GDDR6 RAM with 192-bit bus width. Primary storage is courtesy of a 512GB Samsung PM9A1 NVMe SSD, which is apparently an OEM version of Samsung's 980 Pro retail SSD offering. The PM9A1 has TLC NAND flash and uses the PCIe 4.0 X4 interface, which should make this a pretty speedy SSD. Moving on to the rest of the laptop specs, the LCD display is a 15.6-inch WQHD affair with a speedy refresh rate of 165Hz and a 3ms response time. Audio is powered by a Realtek ALC3287 codec with built-in stereo speakers and the Nahimic audio feature, which helps to enhance your audio experience. Wired internet connectivity is courtesy of a Realtek Gigabit Ethernet chip, while Wi-Fi is courtesy of Realtek's RTL8852BE, which provides support for Wi-Fi 6 2x2 and Bluetooth 5.1. The laptop also comes with a built-in 1080p HD webcam and has a 4-cell 80Wh battery. To round up the specs, the Legion 5 weighs in at around 2.4 kilograms and has the dimensions that you see on the screen. Now that we've got the laptop on, let's have a look at the specs of this LCD panel. As mentioned earlier, it has a WQHD, that is, 2560 by 1440 resolution IPS panel, boasts a speedy refresh rate of 165Hz and a 3ms response time, and a 178-degree viewing angle. Lenovo also advertises this screen to have a maximum brightness of 300 nits and 100% sRGB coverage. Unfortunately, I do not have the equipment to measure actual color accuracy, but right out of the box, the screen looks great from the get-go with rich and vibrant colors, and viewing angles are pretty decent too. I also did not detect any backlight bleed of any sort. In terms of the operating system and pre-installed apps, this laptop comes shipped with Windows 11 Home and doesn't have too much in terms of bloatware, though I'd probably get rid of the pre-installed McAfee antivirus and install some other free antivirus app. That said, the Legion 5 comes with Lenovo's Vantage app, which is an all-in-one suite of tools that allows you to tweak your system's performance and gaming settings. For instance, scrolling down, you get the ability to set keyboard macros for, say, the number pad, like so. Apart from this, you even get the ability to, say, configure your desired audio profile using the inbuilt Nahimic Audio app. Moving back to the main menu, over on the right, we get performance settings under the Legion Edge section, and further down, we even get a section that allows you to customize the RGB lighting effects for your keyboard. All in all, the app seems pretty full-fledged and was a pleasure to use. I'm recording this section of the video using the laptop's built-in webcam and microphone, and as you can tell, the video and audio quality is decent enough, I suppose. It's not going to win any awards, and if you're intending to use the webcam and microphone for, say, work purposes, that is to take conference calls with video, it'll probably do just fine. However, if you're a gaming live streamer, you might want to consider investing in an external webcam and microphone, as the video and audio quality probably wouldn't cut it for live streaming purposes. Moving on to the audio experience, unfortunately, the built-in stereo speakers do not really impress, and the sound quality came across as muddy and lacking in details at times. Bass lovers would be disappointed as well, as the speakers lack oomph in the bass department. That said, the audio experience with proper headphones or earphones is great, in large part due to the Nahimic audio feature, which in my opinion really helped with enhancing the soundscape, be it in terms of listening to music, watching a movie, or even gaming. While I'm no audiophile, I particularly enjoyed using the surround sound feature right here, which really helped in elevating my audio experience. We also do get a bunch of other audio settings that can be tweaked to your heart's content. One thing that stands out immediately, Lenovo has managed to squeeze in a number pad for the keyboard. Even so, the typing experience with this laptop is great, where the spacing between keys is good and there's minimal flex. As you'll have noticed, the Legion 5 comes with RGB backlighting for the keyboard, and the lighting effects can be controlled via the Lenovo Vantage app like so, where you have the option of customizing these profiles to suit your personal preferences too. You can also switch off the RGB lights for a sleeper appearance if you so wish. Moving on to the touchpad, it comes with multi-touch gesture support, which allows you to scroll up and down, left to right, and zoom in and out with ease. While on the other hand, the click action feels pretty ordinary and gets the job done. In case you're wondering, the Legion 5 does not come with a built-in fingerprint reader. And with that, let's get started on some synthetic benchmarks and game tests to assess the performance of this laptop. To kick things off, I'll be running Cinebench R23 to assess the computing prowess of the laptop and Crystal DiskMark to test the laptop's SSD performance. Thereafter, to get a flavour of gaming performance, I'll be running both Cyberpunk 2077 and Shadow of the Tomb Raider's built-in benchmark tests to see how the Legion 5 fares, before rounding off with a test of actual gameplay using Fortnite. Now in terms of test setup, we've got the factory installation of Windows 11 Home for the OS alongside the latest Nvidia laptop graphics drivers version 522.25. No tweaks were made to the laptop's CPU and GPU power limits, where they were left on stock settings out of the box, and the power profile in the Lenovo Vantage app was set to the performance mode. Starting with Cinebench R23, we see that on the multi-core test, the 15 ARH7H gets a score of 14,232, while for the single-core test, it clocks in at 1,540 points, which are very decent scores indicative of the processing power of the Ryzen 7 6800H CPU. Moving on to the SSD, the included Samsung PM9A1 achieved the read and write speeds that you see on the screen. Now bearing in mind that this SSD is advertised by Samsung to have sequential read and write speeds of up to 6,900 MB per second and 5,000 MB per second respectively, and that this SSD is purportedly the OEM version of Samsung's retail 980 Pro, I would say that these are a pretty decent set of results. Moving on to gaming performance, starting first with Cyberpunk 2077. The mobile RTX 3060 shines, especially with DLSS enabled, where on the ray tracing low preset and the DLSS profile set to auto, the Legion 5 achieved an average FPS of 57.35, a minimum FPS of 37.02, and a maximum FPS of 80.93. If you're intending to play Cyberpunk 2077 and would like to have some form of ray tracing switched on, DLSS is a must in order to achieve playable frame rates with this laptop. Moving on to Shadow of the Tomb Raider. With DLSS switched off, I ran the built-in benchmark with the Ultra Graphics preset and ray tracing shadows set to medium, and the Legion 5 achieved an average FPS of 70, which is a pretty good showing. I then decided to bump the ray tracing shadows setting to Ultra, and with DLSS still switched off, the Legion 5 achieved an average FPS of 48. I must say, these are pretty decent results, especially since DLSS was switched off. Enabling it would definitely net you a healthy performance increase for sure. Finally, for real-world gaming performance, I played several rounds of Fortnite with the laptop and on the Epic Graphics preset with DLSS switched off and ray tracing switched off. The Legion 5 achieved an average FPS of 63 with a low of 50.7 FPS and a high of 80.7 FPS. In terms of acoustics and thermals, the laptop was pretty much silent while on idle and light loads. Using HWiNFO 64, I recorded an idle CPU temperature of around 37.8 degrees Celsius and an idle GPU temperature of around 37.5 degrees Celsius. As a side note, the temperature of my surroundings is approximately 30 degrees Celsius. Under gaming workloads, such as while playing Fortnite on the Epic Graphics preset with ray tracing switched off and DLSS switched off, the Legion 5 achieved an average CPU temperature of 78.6 degrees Celsius with a high of 88.3 degrees Celsius. It also got an average GPU temperature of around 67.5 degrees Celsius with a high of 73.6 degrees Celsius, which are pretty toasty temperatures. During gameplay, the fans ran pretty loud, though this wouldn't be an issue if you're plugged into headphones or have the speaker volume turned up during gameplay. That said, the palm rest area did not get too warm, even under load, where most of the heat output was instead around the top region of the keyboard. As a result of this, gaming comfort was not compromised in my opinion, even though the laptop CPU and GPU were running pretty hot under load. In conclusion, the Lenovo Legion 5 15AR-H7H with the Ryzen 7 6800H processor and Nvidia's RTX 3060 mobile graphics is a powerhouse of a gaming laptop that does pretty well for QHD gaming on today's modern titles. Coupled with a speedy SSD and a great looking WQHD screen, all you need is a great gaming mouse and you're pretty much good to go for your gaming needs with this laptop. There's also no shortage of I/O ports for this laptop, and the inclusion of a USB 4 Type-C port is a bonus, though you will likely need to do a BIOS update to enable this feature. Some downsides worth mentioning include the fact that the laptop runs pretty loud and hot while gaming, and that the built-in speakers and webcam aren't the best out there. That said, given that this is a gaming laptop after all, I'd say that these are shortcomings that I can live with, where gaming performance is the key priority. As of October 2022, the Legion 5 15AR-H7H can be had in Singapore for a price of around 1,949 Singapore dollars, which converts to roughly 1,373 US dollars for you international folks. With that, thank you so much for watching, hit the like button and get subscribed if you've enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys around the next time.